Right, lads, so I'd like to have a talk about someone that might have slipped from your memory in recent times, and that certain someone is the lanky purple dude right in front of you on your screen, who's supposed to be known as Waluigi, I think. Don't fact check me on that. But yeah, prior to the release of Wave 4 in the Booster Course Pass, this purple guy, whoever he's supposed to be, used to absolutely dominate the online scene of Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. I mean, can you believe that, guys? Insane. This guy had a near 6-year run of being undoubtedly the best character in the game, but unfortunately, in March of 2023, when Wave 4 did release, Nintendo gave Luigi and Yoshi the buffs of a lifetime, which just absolutely sat down Waluigi at that point. And Nintendo made this change because Waluigi Wiggler was by far the most hated combo in the game, which, don't get me wrong, I enjoy the new meta combos a lot. I actually prefer them a little bit more over Waluigi Wiggler, but I still think Waluigi Wiggler was overly hated so much, and I'm one of his biggest defenders. So I'd like to go back and take a look at Waluigi Wiggler, look at the history of it being the best combo in the game, and also give my thoughts and reasons why this was a good meta combo and it didn't deserve any of the hate it got in the past. So without further ado, let's talk about it. So, the first question that needs to be answered is, when and why did my man Waluigi start to spawn in every single competitive lobby in existence? To answer that question, let's first have a look at the very first ever meta combo in this game, back in 2017, which would be a super heavy character like the likes of Wario or Morton on the standard bike and the roller tires. As you can see, it was already very clearly established that the roller tires were by far the best tires in the game because of the high mini turbo stat it gives, and nothing has changed regarding that. The standard bike has the exact same stats as the Wiggler, so back then it was just a bit of a preferred alternative, and the super heavy character made up for the lack of speed on the standard bike, but especially on the rollers, which practically has none. Oh, and before I forget to mention, the best glider in the game was pretty much any of the ones that would give you the highest amount of mini turbo, which there are plenty of them, but to save complications we'll just go with the paper glider, because it was and still is the most used glider in the game by far, mainly thanks to its high mini turbo and traction stat that it offers. Okay, so now that we've established that the most important stats in the game are mini turbo and speed by far, and that the aim of the meta combo is to get a perfect combination of both of them, let's flash forward to 2018 and see what some of the meta combos are looking like now. Well, looking at this screenshot from the 2018 World Cup, we can see that not too much has changed, except we can see a few people using characters from the Waluigi class and someone even using the Wiggler, but for the most part, the meta still seems to be a super heavy character on the standard bike. Now, let's flash forward to 2019. Oh boy, here he is. So come around 2019, and most competitive players had converted over to this purple lanky son of a gun. And to see why this is, we should compare the stats of both of the meta combos that we've discussed. So immediately, you'll notice that the differences aren't actually that big. Those differences being that the Wario combo has a little bit more speed, with the Waluigi combo having a little bit more mini turbo. And a question that I've heard a lot, and probably one that you're thinking right now, is why did everybody play this combo if the differences were that small? And my answer to that is just one word: comfortability. The best way I could describe that is to compare it to some of the other meta combos that were in play at the time. For example, it didn't feel near as light, and it wasn't pushed around as much as Mr. Scooty, but it also had enough mini turbo, acceleration, and handling to make it feel not as tanky as using a heavier character like Wario. Neither of the two combos that I mentioned were bad at all. They were perfectly good lighter and heavier alternatives back in the day, but Waluigi Wiggler was that Goldilocks just right in the middle kind of thing. Also, on the topic of comfortability, as seen by the common use of the Wild Wiggler, people were finding quad bikes to be a lot more comfortable to use rather than the previous outside drifting bike that was the standard bike, which is definitely just a personal preference thing. You can absolutely get away with using either or. Okay, I'm pretty sure I've gotten through the entire history of Waluigi Wiggler becoming the most used combo in the game. Now we get to the time where I tell you why you should not have been hating on Waluigi Wiggler. Without further ado, let's talk about it. Okay, so in my defense case of Waluigi Wiggler, I'm gonna have 3 talking points to go over, and the first talking point is double standard. Now, what could I possibly mean about double standard? I could give you the perfect example. Let's compare how people treat the Mario Kart Wii meta to the Mario Kart 8 Deluxe meta. Now, on one hand, with Funky Kong, people don't really care, because Funky Kong's a fan favorite. We like Funky Kong, which I totally agree on, by the way. I think Funky Kong's absolutely the GOAT of Mario Mario Kart characters. Nintendo characters in general, maybe bar Toad, and I totally would be rocking him if Nintendo didn't nerf heavyweights into the ground. So yeah, Funky Kong's awesome, and we don't mind it that we see about 20 of them in every single online match in Mario Kart Wii. That's fine. Now, on the other hand, with Waluigi, you might want to pause to read all of it, but crazy how mad some people got over a kart combination. How it went with a lot of the casual community is that if you played Waluigi Wiggler, you were just scum of the earth. And let me clear this up for a second. I'm not talking about every single person that doesn't play this game competitively. I know a lot of you guys are cool. I'm talking about the ones that are harassing competitive players for wanting to play the meta, that's all. But it does really confuse me on why everyone started to dislike Waluigi so much. Because from my knowledge, everybody wanted this guy in Smash, right? And then finally he gets his spotlight in Mario Kart 8 Deluxe's meta, and then everybody changes their mind and is like, oh, we don't like Waluigi anymore, actually, we changed our mind. So Funky Kong, everybody's cool with, and then Waluigi, who finally gets his deserved spotlight, everybody turns on. Make it make sense. Enough said, really. Let's get on to my second talking point. This game is obviously going to have a meta. This shouldn't take much explaining, but there's been a competitive scene for every single Mario Kart game from the DS onwards. Now, I can completely understand if someone never even considered this game to be taken competitively, with this game being more intended to be a party game, and the lack of a proper ranking system within the game. But this game has been taken competitively for ages. There is a lot of skill and strategy that goes into this game, and the competitive scene even made their own ranking system within a Discord server, which if you'd like to give a go, I'll leave a link to in the description. It's called Lounge, and it's pretty good. I play it quite a lot myself. So in conclusion, if you're a person that cries about people taking this game seriously, and in doing so playing the meta builds, then suck it up, bro. That's a you problem. Now we get to my third talking point, which is the most important by far, and also the one I'm the most excited to talk about. Now, just what could that possibly be? Funny. But Liam, how could funny be your most important talking point? To answer that question, let me divert your attention over to this bad boy. Now, I'm sure a lot of you might remember when Wave 5 released, everybody found it absolutely comedy gold that you could now play the Wiggler on the Wiggler. Guys, it's so funny, it looks like they're having okay, what if I told you this goofy little combo that's on your screen right now would have been the best combo in the game, if not for the balance changes, because of Wiggler and Waluigi sharing the same stats? But Liam, competitive players are boring and they still would have used Waluigi. Untrue. If you look very closely, you'll see that they gave Wiggler a medium weight hitbox. So with Wiggler sharing the same stats but having a smaller hitbox, that would have made Wiggler just objectively better by a smidge. And as you know, competitive players will basically take any advantage they can get. So likely in top level lobbies, you would have been seeing 12 players all on Wiggler on the Wiggler, which, I mean, come on, that's pretty funny. Hashtag Wiggler supremacy. But yeah, that was my very passionate TED talk. Thank you all for coming. In all seriousness though, even though I do enjoy the Yoshi meta a little bit more nowadays, I do still think back in the day the Waluigi meta was absolutely fine, and a lot of the hate it received was very unwarranted, and the buffing of other characters that this caused did kind of mess up the time trial scene. Pretty much it made long-lasting world records easily beatable. That's enough said from me anyway. In conclusion, if you hate on people using the meta combo, you're pretty lame. Thank you and good night.